Hey guys, Buckeye Bar guys. We wanted to thank you guys for tuning in to us here on Buckeye Bar Talk. Great show we got coming up today. We're really looking forward to you guys listening and watching it. But just wanted to remind everybody, just remember to subscribe to the channel, hit the all notifications bell, and that way, anytime a new show comes up, you guys will be alerted to it. And don't forget to like the video and comment on the video. All interactions with us helps us continue to grow, and we appreciate your support. Now to the show. Welcome back, everybody. Buckeye Bar guys here on Buckeye Bar Talk. I'm Mike.
And I'm John.
Tonight's date is Thursday, September 28th, 2023. It is the bye week, so we will be discussing the thrilling and crazy win over the Irish this past weekend. So that was a good win at the end of the day. Some heart attacks throughout the game, but glad they got the W. And then so we'll talk about just our thoughts on the Notre Dame win, and then we'll just kind of discuss Ohio State through the first third of the year is now over. Their first 4 games, so the meat of the schedule is still to come. Our feelings, how they're looking so far. So 17-14, they beat Notre Dame right at the end of the game. Walk off. I mean, technically Notre Dame got one more play, but still basically a walk off. As Chip Traynham goes into the end zone for a 1-yard.
That's so Vegas could get their push. Right?
Yeah,
they made the call.
Yeah, that was like another thing. I was like, Vegas decided they're going to go for the push here on some of those, even though in some of the later lines, there was a couple of casinos on Saturday had it at 2.5 too.
Yeah, I know.
So
down there,
like I would have hated the Notre Dame people on that one. Just let us lose now. So like when you think you're going to win the game and then you go to, still won the game. Hey, at least I won.
Right. I got some money out of this.
Yeah. And then like they screwed you over. So
nothing.
But yeah, so I mean, a lot to discuss with the game. So, definitely a full roller coaster of emotions. I mean, no one expected it to be that tight of a game. I mean, your wildest dreams. If I thought it was going to be that close to the game, I would, 31-28.
Yeah, I said 35-33, so I thought it was going to be close. I just didn't think it was going to be that low scoring.
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to be that low scoring. I didn't think it was going to be that low scoring in the first half. I mean, my God, it's
3-0.
Like that was just nuts. And then Ohio State in the second half, Trey has the big touchdown, but Notre Dame is really wearing them down. I mean, they basically, I know everybody's like, well, they had the 2 good drives. I mean, technically they had 3 good drives because that first drive in the third quarter, they got some.
What, that Harmon gets stuffed on the 4th and 1?
Yeah. I mean, they are moving the ball on them, and they were starting to pick some stuff up there, and then it just as much as you love it, it kind of sucks that Trey goes right to the house, and then it's like the defense has to go right back out there, and then they grab the lead, and then Kyle McCord, who in my opinion did not have a bad game. I mean, there was a couple things, sure you want back and stuff, but I mean, he should throw. I mean, he has a touchdown pass to Abuka that Emeka needs to catch. I mean, maybe he's a hair too hard on the throw, but I mean, it's when it touches your hands, you want to go to the next level. You gotta pull it in.
I mean, Emeka leaves his feet, but he also doesn't have to like dive forward to get it. I mean, I could be misremembering. I've only rewatched the game once or twice, but I felt like he was kind of like he left his feet, but it was still in the basket.
Yeah. I mean, I just think he probably it's not a lot. He probably maybe just had, but again, if it's there and you can get both hands on it, you got to catch it. It wasn't like it was thrown like a missile. Like,
right.
So, I mean, he
should have been caught.
So, and then, if Ohio State ever would put some sort of QB sneak into the package, I mean, they should score it on that first, 4th and goal that they had. And so that's 2 more touchdowns. And, so, I mean, they had the opportunity there in a very close 17-14 game that, they could have won, 24-14 or, even 31-14, depending on how everything goes. So, a lot to dissect there, but I mean, glad they escaped with the win. That's all that matters.
Yeah, you can't complain too much. Well, you shouldn't complain at all about a road win against Notre Dame. I mean, there's definitely things to clean up, though. But like you said, you left a lot on the field. I mean, how different is that game? Instead of 3-0, 14-0 before Trey even gets his touchdown. If you convert on that goal line situation and then Emeka catches that touchdown. So I mean, that's a huge swing. And I know Notre Dame had their chances too. They didn't get quite as close as the 1 yard line gets stopped. I think they were stopped on the 18.
Yeah,
the first drive of the game. So not quite as close, but definitely they could have kicked some field goals. They could have made a field goal that they miss, and it works both ways. And I completely understand that. But Ohio State left a lot out there. Like you said, Igbuka should have caught that one. And if we're just talking McCord here, right? Because that's what we're saying. Like, I thought it was an okay game. Definitely, balls of steel on that last drive.
Yeah.
But, Marv, if for whatever reason they don't wave off his catch, which didn't make any sense to me, that's more yardage on top there. The Igbuka one, the Igbuka penalty that they called back for Fryer. Yeah, finishing his block, Kyle probably ends with 300 yards or so.
Yeah.
So not a bad day.
Yeah, no, definitely not. And like I said, I mean, there's probably a couple throws in there you'd want to have back and stuff. But I mean, I thought,
when aren't there?
Yeah. But for his first game on the road, I thought he played really good. Yeah. And I mean, there's really consider Notre Dame runs the ball the whole second half. I mean, there was no difference from what I saw from the guy starting his first major game on the road and a guy who's played 150 games. So
yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah. I mean, just physically, I don't want to get in a fight with Notre Dame guys. I mean, I thought Hartman played a fine game, but
yeah, he didn't do bad
physically, just at the position. I mean, McCord looked better than him.
Yeah, I thought so. I mean, I think also, and I definitely think, and that's why those points in the first half are important, getting a touchdown there on the first, 4th and goal, Igbuka catching that touchdown, that stuff's important because I think in the second quarter, Notre Dame probably saw that, Ohio State was definitely keeping their safeties back. They obviously didn't want to give up a big play. So Notre Dame, I mean, rightfully so. And good that they saw it. They're like, all right, well, we're going to run the ball on them in the second half and we're just going to put it behind our, our strong offensive line. Yeah. And they started wearing you down. But, if you're up 17-0, that might be different.
I mean, they can't rely on that. You got to throw the ball.
Yeah. So force Hartman to make some more situations, and he did fine throwing the ball. But Ohio State again didn't let anything get beat. And I think that the one thing I really liked from the secondary is the couple times that they tried to really play go for the Ohio State corners were there with it. And yeah, Iggy's still a little rough with some of his stuff, but it is what it is. I see some people on Twitter give him a little bit more of a harder time. And, a player like that, you're going to get penalties.
I mean, Notre Dame definitely decided though, that if you're going to go after one of them, he's the guy to try.
Yeah. It's, Burke is pretty much now, I think his reputation is preceding him that you're not going to see a lot of teams, I think, try his side. He had like one or two.
There's one target and it was a 7-yard completion.
Yeah. So that was it for the game. That's crazy. But so, I mean, just your general thoughts, let's, I guess, get into the players of the game and then we'll start on offense, I mean, I guess let's start, who would you say is the player of the game offensively? And then I'm sure we have the same major concern. So we'll address the major concern and just, the offensive line.
Good, bad, ugly, whatever.
Yeah, so good first. I mean, is it McCord? Do you want to throw somebody else out there? I mean,
I would say, even though he dropped the touchdown, Igbuka had a big game.
I loved his game. Stover had a great game too.
I thought Marv for the toughness. I mean, if Marv leaves that game, they're able to bracket Igbuka.
Deja vu, man.
Right. It's a lot harder. It's like double deja vu because, JSN against Notre Dame, but also Marv getting knocked out against Georgia. So yeah, it was a heart attack. So, I mean, I give him a lot of respect for Hart. So I had him as a player of the game. I had a lot of guys. I mean, Trey, he had that huge run. He almost broke another one. I thought, there were bright spots on the offensive line play. I think Matthew Jones is a step above the rest of them right now. So I like him. But if I had to say one, probably Kyle McCord. But Igbuka, if I'm being different, I would say Emeka would be number.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, I'm definitely on the Emeka train. I mean, hey, he, I mean, Marv. I mean, it's Morrison, right?
Yeah, Benjamin Morrison.
Yeah,
is that right?
Yeah,
I don't know. He's good. He's really good.
Yeah, so kudos to him. I mean, he had a good game, but I think my biggest complaint on the offense is that I think McCord. There's probably situations. I mean, he throws it to him. I mean, they call it back, stupidly, but I mean, you got to throw it up to him when you get your opportunities. I mean, he can. A lot of times he's going to beat one-on-one. So, I mean, I know they bracketed a lot.
What, Marv?
Yeah, but if you get your situations, you got to kind of take them at times.
I mean, he did try in the second half. And
he did.
And it was a ball that was a little far for Marv.
And Marv was after the injury.
Which, you never know on that one. If Marv's healthy, if he catches that or not.
Yeah.
Probably.
I think he probably does run it down. I mean, he was close enough to it. I think if he had, if his legs were working, he probably runs it down. And he has a nice catch in the fourth when he on that slant.
But
I wish they would run that more with him.
That was beautiful.
I mean, like that is like almost an easy pitch and catch every time. I mean, if you're having a hard time with the running game, like literally run that play.
Especially with him, like he could just and he dove for it, but it's so effortless for him.
Yeah.
Like his hands are so good. Yeah, I agree with that. But I mean, I definitely like, McCord this time around. Marv wasn't there for him and he made himself find Emeka. Whereas Indiana, and I don't know all the ins and outs, how open everyone got or what they were doing. And it was, McCord's first game starting in 2 years. And, he relied a lot on Cade, in that first game. But it was like he really, made a point like, hey, if they're going to stop Marv, I got to find Emeka.
Yeah. And I speaking of Cade, I do like that. It's kind of like Cade's like the warm blanket of the offense. You need an easy catch. I mean, hell, God, that catch where that
was far from easy.
That tip ball or whatever when he got hit and he freaking jumped up to catch that one. I mean, again, that was another save, had a couple ones in that game where, some players made some big time plays there. I mean, and, in the crossing route to Fleming, I mean, that was a nice throw. I mean, that's 4th and 7. I mean, if he's anything off on that throw, the game's over.
Well, yeah.
And
I was a little surprised Julian, just for how strong he is, got taken down the way he did, because it seemed like there was yards after the catch there that he just had to make that first arm miss, get off that arm tackle, and then he had some room to move, but and is what it is. You can't complain about it. I just knowing him, I thought he could have done, would have done more with it. No fault to him. He got the first down. He did what he had to. So
I think his mindset was just that's the first down and I got to get to the first down.
I don't want to seem like I'm complaining, and I'm glad he didn't get another 15 yards and the ball got punched out or something like that, so he did what he had to do. It's fine.
Yeah. And I see some, I saw some Notre Dame fans talking about, well, they should have had an interception on the final drive. I mean, that stuff happens in football. He should have had an interception on the final drive. I mean, Tyleik Williams should have also had an interception, and JT
Sawyer should have had an interception.
JT almost had a pick 6, there on that final drive. And, so, I mean, that stuff happens in football. I mean,
almost 3 of our defensive linemen should have had interceptions in this game. So.
I mean, if those guys were as sure-handed as, a lot of people think they'd be playing, a lot of them would be playing offense, so.
I wonder how JT would do as a tight end.
I don't know. I bet you probably
bring him in on the Bison package instead of always having an extra tackle or Caden Curry as a fullback. Yeah. I'm sure we can talk about that a little bit, but he's an actual offensive threat. Put him in there.
Yeah. So, okay, speaking, this is not going to be on Caden Curry, but, we'll go there.
Let's go there.
The concern is obviously it's just the whole mixture of the run game. It's the run game. It's the run game in short situations. It's the offensive lineman not holding on to blocks long enough. It's, some
bad play calling,
bad formations for the, the type of runs that they want to do. It's like,
wrong personnel.
It's like, you gotta, and this has been a lingering thing now for a couple of years, couple coaching staff. So it's like, I mean, it's just weird. I mean, they just need to, you don't need to. This team is at their best when they're throwing the ball around, and they're best at running the ball when there's not as many guys in the box. For whatever reason, it is what it is. This team is just not like.
I mean, you don't want that many guys in the box.
But this team, some teams can do it. Wisconsin can do it. Michigan can do it. They've proven that stuff. That's Ohio State, and this is nothing on Ohio State. They can play tough, run heavy football and stuff like that. But, get guys out of the box so their athletes can make plays in there and, feel more comfortable with it. They just don't do well when there's a lot of bodies in there.
And this isn't supposed to be overly critical about like Mayan or Trey. It's just at this point, and watching it, especially 2 years, but it's kind of lingering back all the way to 2021 also. It's like, I hear a lot of guys say Trey's not built to run between the tackles. He can't do it. I've seen Trey follow a lead blocker between the tackles, and he does fine. I'm not saying he busts 50 yards every time, but he can get 4 to 5 yards if you tell him where to go. And I feel like mine's the same way. I feel like out of the backs they have, and I'm just going to say the ones that we've seen this year, even though I think Dallin has this in his repertoire also, I think Chip's the only one that they can say, find your hole and burst through it. The other two just have too much problems finding that hole in those short yardage situations, and it lets things get just too clunky and, too congested for them, and they don't maximize what they can do. Now, I think if you had Mine or Chip in there short as a fullback and you hand it off to Trey and you said, hey, you're going off tackle here, I think Trey will be fine. Or if you're going, up this gap between the tackle and the guard, Trey's going to be fine. I don't think he has necessarily the problems everyone thinks he does, that he needs to just be in space, that he can't run between the tackles. I think Trey's a hard runner, but he needs to know where he's going. And I think that's a lot of the problem with him, is that he dances around when he has to find his own hole because he's trying to break a touchdown. And then it all just gets too congested and he goes down. I'm not saying he breaks tackles or he runs through tackles or he doesn't go down easily, but I think he can get you pretty much, those 3 to 5 yards if you just tell him where he's going.
Yeah. And,
or you give him the field and you say, outrun everybody to the corner and turn it up.
That's the second straight week or third straight week where they've given him a play that, was going to the field side and, he turned it into 6. And so I mean, now
I think Chip, though, you can say, find your hole and burst through it on, your zones, and he's better at it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think that's
for what that's,
I definitely think that, I think we've talked a little bit before we started tonight, some of their formations are just way off, that they're expecting guys to crash down on those defensive ends and are just too far off.
Just leave them be or whatever,
and they're just there to make, they know it's coming. And it doesn't matter if it's, if it's the fake zone or if it's just an inside run. I mean, they're in pistol and just handing this ball straight off the running back and, on an inside zone. That's nothing special. And, the defensive end is still there.
And what chance do you have, though, when you got two ends that are collapsing down on you?
And then there was a play, it was in the late in the game when, Baptiste gets him and stuff like that. He actually had the hole there. It just, then when they give him a hole, he has
to burst through.
He has to burst through it, and the lineman just had to hold on to the block a little longer. I mean, it's mano y mano at that point. Just, keep your block. And
he definitely should have been able to pick up that first down. So, I mean, it's definitely not perfect. I mean, not 100% that he can, as long as the hole's there and he knows where to run through. But even that one, I don't know if it's like, hey, you're running here, or hey, find your hole and go through it. I'm not sure. I agree he's best in space, but I've seen him run between the tackles.
Yeah, I've seen him.
He's okay. Usually he just kind of needs a lead blocker in front of him.
Yeah. Or it's a lot, or where he does really well, it's for whatever reason, like first down runs. I mean, he usually can get 5 yards a pop on those. Like, it's just,
They probably have it more spread out.
Yeah, probably. And
Ryan changes his offense when it's third down. And, that's the other thing that you and I talked about during the game. And I know everybody talked about it. If you're that hell-bent to go jumbo and just get only the 1 yard you need, like, I still don't get that. Like, if it's 3rd and 1, try to get 20, like, why are you just trying to get 1? But if you're that hell-bent that you need to get the 1 to keep the chains moving, QB sneak it.
Yeah.
You got 2 QB sneaks. Practice it.
Now you see if you're going to put Caden Curry in the game, put him behind freaking
and just shove his ass.
Like, or you put the 2 power backs in there, put Mayan and Trip and just be like, just don't spear him and injure him.
Right. Just give him a good push. Get him over that line.
I mean, the Eagles have lived on the last 2 years with that. I mean, you just
they got a guy in a 4-point stance over the center on the other side, and they still can't stop the Eagles.
Yeah. So it's just push them forward. I mean, that has definitely been the one frustrating thing. And I know McCord definitely seems like a guy, and this is obviously nothing on Stroud. Just I think that's kind of Stroud's mindset. He doesn't necessarily like mixing it up like that. And I get that. I'm not going to criticize it and stuff like that. I don't think McCord necessarily has that issue. He seems like he's, willing to, bloody himself up, during a game. So put some couple guys behind and be like, hey, we're going with the sneak there and, push him forward.
Yeah, figuring it out is going to be crazy. I mean, I still say if you need to go, jumbo package for a 4th down because you're trying to pick it up, I still think your best offense is your offense that spread people out as wide as possible and just have your options from there, have a RPO game from there. But 3rd down, like, you do not need to congest, even if you're on the 1 yard line, you do not need to congest everything that much. Like, spread people out, have your best players on the field, which we won't lay in too much. But I mean, the fact that on the goal line series, you're only one you've been in the whole game, you fail on 3rd and 4th down and Marvin and Mecca are on the sidelines. Like that can't happen.
Yeah. And it definitely better, at least for the game-winning touchdown.
They're both out there.
They're both out there, and
so maybe lesson learned.
Yeah, and and they were out there for the stupid the jet sweep that And again, I don't like that play call in that situation. But if you're going to run it to the wide side of the field,
right, where
maybe
Mecca has some room,
where he maybe be able to outrun somebody, like.
I honestly think, it's still a bad play call. I don't like it.
No, I hated it. I hated it.
I think he had room though between either Jones and Fryer or Fryer and Scott, but he bounced it outside the tight end instead of going like cutting up the middle. But it's just, our tight ends aren't great at perimeter blocking to begin with. Why are you asking them to, and why you're asking your lead blocker?
And why you're asking a receiver to be able to see that hole, like,
right?
And I get it. He's a good punt returner and stuff like that. He sees stuff like that, but it's not his forte. Like,
and it shouldn't be. Like, not everyone can do everything. Like, that's fine. And I still wish Kyle would have been able to see it. Excuse me, I'm sorry. And they had some sort of audible though. I mean, that cornerback was like 8 yards off of Marv. Like, all you got to do is get the snap and just rifle it down the line. It doesn't even have to be a slant or anything. If you catch on a slant, Marv probably gets, maybe a touchdown. I know he's on a bad wheel then, but he definitely gets the 1st down because he just catches the ball and falls forward.
Yeah, that's like that, and that isn't hard. If they're gonna give Marvin Harrison some sort of cushion, like, kill them with that. Like,
right. But I mean, I get it. Like, first real road game start for McCord, and it's just the play was already called, and is what it is there.
Like, I don't even know if that type of stuff. I hope that stuff's in the playbook, and like,
no, it definitely should be.
Like, I mean, if they're gonna give him cushion, then
I know McCord has even though he was on the other hash, I know he has a strong enough arm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, on that. Unless somebody knocks it down at the line of scrimmage, which is always possible.
That is a possibility, yes.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't take much effort to, like, just literally get it to them.
It wasn't so fast, though. You just got to take a step back so they're not in your view. I mean, I guess it's always a possibility, especially, with our line sometimes hold it up in the short stuff, but I would have, if they would have failed on that, I would have preferred that instead of what they failed.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
All right. Defense. Player of the game. I think there's a couple in this one too. I'll save time though. I'm going to say Tyleik Williams. I think he made himself some money. I mean, and I know it's different than what Joe Alt's used to going against, but he didn't get the sack, but he put Joe Alt in Sam Hartman's lap on him.
Yeah.
And I think he had something like, 5 tackles, 1 for tackle for loss. No one had a real impressive stat line for the defensive lineman, but I was impressed with Tyleik. I thought he stood up to the challenge. I mean, we'll talk about depth here in a second, but Tyleik, the guy that never had the conditioning to be on the field, somehow against Notre Dame on the road played 55 snaps.
Yeah.
So I mean, I thought that was impressive for what was asked of him. I know things got a little dicey at the end for the entire line, but I thought he held his own the best he could.
Yeah. I would say that I'm going to go with Latham. I think he had just a hell of a great game. I mean, he was, he kind of picked up a little bit of the slack. The linebackers, they didn't have as great of a game. Yeah, now, granted, Notre Dame, especially in running, Notre Dame's linemen were getting off their blocks and getting to the second level very easily second half. So some of that can be excused. But Latham Ransom cleaned up a lot of tackles. I mean, and I know it was him and Styles, but those missiles coming in when kudos to the defensive line on that one, because they stopped the initial push and Hartman was forced to go to the outside, and they came right up and
Tommy did the jump over the middle.
Yep. And so there was it's just the defense. I mean, the only complaints I have is just I don't even have a complaints on necessarily, Hartman mixing it up and, hitting some of those middle passes and stuff. A lot of those passes they were giving up because, they kept the safeties back to make sure Notre Dame couldn't go down the field.
I just thought there's a point that Tommy and Steele got to recognize something and it's time to go make a play. They were just too soft a zone. I mean, there was one that I distinctly remember that Tommy calls an audible and everyone goes back deep to the first down marker and they still let the tight end get behind the linebackers in between the safeties. And he made a hell of a catch, but it wasn't as difficult as it should have been for him. I mean, there should have been no reason that guy got to that level that he was behind them in front of the safeties.
Yeah. So, I mean, some of that stuff is they only give up the 14 points. So some of that stuff I can excuse, they didn't give any home runs up, and then they can call plays to tighten up the defense if they want to. It did seem like some of the thought process going into it is I'm just not going to let these guys beat me on a big play.
Right.
And, so I'm going to keep some guys back and, I'm going to force them to work it. And, and I think that's the chance they took. It worked for most of the game. And then Notre Dame recognized that they could run the ball on them. And so talking about defensive line depth, and I know this has always been a big argument. I want my best guys playing all the time too. Where I think that they probably did make some mistakes is that the first 3 weeks, Tyleik's played a lot of snaps. Does Tyleik need to play as many snaps as he's played the first 3 weeks? JT and Jack Sawyer have been out there a lot so far this season. Maybe mixing some of the, that was the big complaint last year in the Notre Dame game and in some of the big games. Why are we rotating some of these guys, that should not be in here?
Right. Especially in key moments
like that. And I agree with that. But against teams like Youngstown State and Western Kentucky, I'm okay rotating a little bit more. Keep those guys as fresh as possible because you don't know when they're going to go up against best offensive line, most likely in the country. And you have to, pony up and stuff like that. So I think that was probably my most frustrated thing. And I think the second most frustrated thing is why they are just a little too old school that this is my right defensive end. This is my left defensive end.
That was weird.
And they don't move JT until the end of the game. At least I didn't notice it.
I don't think they did. But that's when he made plays.
And Fisher's a hell of a tackle too, but he's not all. And
no, he's a step below.
And he's the one that has shown that, you can get some pressure with against and stuff like that. So why don't you put your best defensive end against him and let's see what he can do more in the game? Like, I think if they would have tried that earlier in the game and he could have got some stuff, maybe they have a whole different defensive game plan then. Like, okay, let's.
I would have loved to see Kenyatta Jackson against Fisher. Honestly.
I would have loved to see that too. And
or Caden Curry. I think if there was anyone to get got, and it's not me trying to insult them, if you're trying to make something happen with your defensive end, so it was obviously always going to be against Fisher, you know, like Joe Alt's probably between him and the guy from Penn State. They're probably the two best left tackles in the country. So I would have taken that advantage as many times as I could, you know, maybe the worst case scenario. And I know you want Jack in there because he's your second best end, but maybe just use him and JT to keep themselves fresh on all. And still you could sprinkle them in together at the same time and have one of them over Fisher, use your Jack position, whatever, CJ Hicks or Mitchell Melton over Fisher, but get Caden Curry and Kenyatta in there. So, I mean, worst case, let them give you 5 to 10 snaps so you can at least, you know, hit some oxygen and get back in the game. But they needed a breather at the end of that game, man. They needed some time. And it was hard to see because you thought like, oh crap, it's, you know, it's happening again. I mean, we got a lead more so than we ever did, you know, in Ann Arbor in 2021, which thank goodness we did. And of course we played so much better than we did in 2021. I mean, it wasn't like that Notre Dame never got off the field in the second half, but it was just like, man, these guys really could use some fresh legs right about now. Yeah. And so it was hard to watch. I think that offensive coordinator kind of screwed that for them, but
I definitely agree. And you know,
whatever, we won, so I'm not going to say they should have, you know.
I mean, it was definitely, I think, a bonehead on their part that, you know, I mean, run the ball, keep taking 40 seconds off the clock and stuff like that. I mean, and I get it. It's probably a touchdown if they connect with that screen, but it's just taking
what happened?
Taking a lock. It's almost a pick six. I mean, it's there's a risk to it.
It was almost the worst.
And actually, it was probably the best scenario was that, I mean, they win the game at the end of the game. I mean, a pick six, they get one more drive. I mean, him saving a timeout and giving Ohio State to basically be able to run the clock out to win the game. I mean, not great. No, so
it was pretty boneheaded. Notre Dame handled the last actual like 4 game minutes really terribly.
Yeah. And I mean, Ryan Day would have. He'd be getting roasted right now. Some of the mistakes that they, you know, the 10 guys having back-to-back plays and be like, you know, literally, you gotta. Like, and did they have a timeout? I don't remember. I've heard some people say
they had a timeout. I've heard people say they wasted their timeout at the very end there. So I thought they used all their timeouts.
Yeah,
that's what I thought, because they call a timeout when Ohio State has the ball. They call 2 timeouts on our final drive, I believe, and Ohio State calls 1. I could be wrong there.
Yeah,
but I thought they used all their timeouts. I've heard a bunch of people say they had a timeout, but it doesn't matter because leaving a timeout, you should never, you should count your people before you break the huddle, leaving the timeout. But then at the second point, like you're leaving a timeout, you should very easily be able to see like, oh shit, there's only 10 guys on the field, get another one out there. And then on top of that, of course, you know, Trey leaves for Chip to come in. They have to let you sub in a extra defender, or match personnel, and they would have if Notre Dame was going to do it. Like the refs would have stopped the game, but they thought 11 guys were out there, and they're like, "Oh no, we're good with who we got."
And you know, obviously, it's all on the coaching, but somebody also on that defense has to know that and get the just touch an offensive lineman, be like,
right, exactly,
like somebody needs to, like, because I kind of get Marcus's point. Even though you blew it, I do get his point that, you know, if we run somebody on the field there and Ohio State gets stopped, well, they're automatically going to get another play because that's a substitution play.
You give them the play beforehand.
The defensive lineman has to be able to, like, the defensive lineman needs to do somebody needs to get a false start or an offsides to, you know, stop the play there. And so I don't know, like, it was just bad overall with that stuff. So Ohio State defense, so let's move into the first third of the season. I'm impressed with the Ohio State defense. Like, they've definitely limited the big plays. I mean, yeah, you can say a lot about the competition, but they manned up when they needed to man up here in this last game and stuff like that. And, I think that, going forward, especially, I think, now that I think probably with that last drive that McCourt had, I could see Day's going to be confident in him now to the point that, the playbook's open. Like, it's your team. You went out, you won a big game for us. So, yeah, it's your team.
I mean, he has to. You gotta give him the chance to open up the playbook. He proved himself to you. I think your offense will run better once there's more trust there and he's allowed to, do more with it. At least I hope so. But, and I said, and people have said that I'm wrong. I don't think I am. Like, Ryan Day's never won this game before, on the road, driving for a touchdown. I know out in Pasadena, the game was tied and they drove for a winning field goal in a game with no consequences whatsoever. Just you won bragging rights, so you won the Rose Bowl. Like, this was vastly different. And Ryan Day's team pulled it together and they won they won the game. So I don't think he's done that. So I think boost of confidence all around, especially the defense, because they found a way to get off the field, even though things were getting a little dicey for them. But yeah, I totally agree with you. Like, moving forward, I would like to see, I think you got a couple more tune-ups. I think you got to, I don't want to insult Maryland. I know they're undefeated right now. They're doing fine. But I think you got to be in a position where you start, using some depth on the defense, because you need to do that. You need to get some defensive linemen's legs under them so they're ready for the end stretch. But also, let McCord start opening up the playbook now. Get him comfortable with it because, Penn State and Michigan aren't going to be a picnic. And Wisconsin on the road probably isn't either.
No. And the thing that stinks, like what I'm kind of worried about with Notre Dame this week going to Duke is that, this could be an upset that could be a threat for Notre Dame just because this was from everything we're hearing, this was everybody's been beat up on both sides of the.
It's good that we got an off week this week.
And, but that Wisconsin game, was always where it worried me because it's like, it's not that Wisconsin matches up well with you. It's just that
Penn State's going to be a battle.
That's going to be a battle. So it's going to be, that's a rough game to go on the road, and it's going to be a night game.
Right. You're going to Camp Randall right after that.
Yeah. So that was always my fear with that one. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, no, they need to get a couple of things in. I'm interested to see what they look like in a week. And obviously we'll talk about Maryland next week, but because Maryland's going to test them in other ways. And Maryland has very, they've twice in the last, how many years have really, stressed them out right. So that'll be a good test for them. Maryland's got a lot of good offensive weapons. So that'll be definitely, I'm looking forward to that one. I think offensively, so where I'm hoping that we go forward is just that, keep on. I think it's time to give McCord the full keys to the Ferrari. I think he proved himself in that final drive. Had ice water in the veins. He went right down there, cool and collective, and won you a football game when you needed to go win a football game. And that doesn't happen much, and especially for somebody who has such a little experience. Right. We talked about even before the game. That was the one thing we didn't want was Hartman to have the ball last. We both mentioned that that could be nerve wracking. Somebody with that type of experience having the ball last, and I'll admit it. I didn't think Ohio State was. I didn't think they were going to go down and win the game. I didn't, and it wasn't even anything against McCord. I didn't need to see enough. If they get into a short downage situation, are they going to be able to make it?
Right. And almost didn't. But yeah, I didn't think maybe the second first down. I'm like, okay, we got a shot. We can do this. Maybe the first one. Because the first down is to Mecca. Yeah. And then Julian gets the second first down.
And then Emeka again.
Then Emeka, then Marvin. Or Marvin gets the second, then it's Emeka's one. Yeah. I don't remember. But Emeka's catch, that first down, I'm like, okay, maybe we got a shot here. But it was anxiety inducing, man.
Yeah. So definitely let McCord start rip it. You said we're gonna rip it. Like let him know. Let him. Let it loose now. And the offensive line, they just need. I'm not overly angry.
They played okay.
They pass blocking. I think they're fine. And now Notre Dame's not the best defensive line that they're going to play. They're probably the third best defensive line on the schedule. I mean, I think Michigan's is better than theirs, and Penn State's is a lot better than theirs. So, they got challenges coming down the stretch here. So they gotta continue to give McCord time, and I think Days needs to find some play calling, things in there to probably help the run blocking along, because
their get off is a little disappointing. I mean, they don't push anybody back on run blocking.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man, you're bigger. You're supposed to be stronger than these guys. Like,
you got to have that. I don't know. It's just a nit thing. Maybe, yeah.
Get under their pads and drive them somewhere though.
No.
Like they get stood up even on every run play.
Yeah,
I think they use pulling guards very, very good. Well, I think they do a good job using a pulling guard though in their offense.
Yeah.
I think both Donovan Jackson and Matthew Jones both do a really nice job pulling the ball. Donovan especially, Matthew Jones especially does a really nice job as a pulling guard.
Yeah, and then defense,
Donovan's good too.
I think defensively is just continue to find some a little bit more depth on your defensive line. Rotate some guys around a little bit more to maybe, find better matchups for, JT and stuff like that. Even Jack. I mean, if you can find a better matchup for him, like exploit it.
Are they all a little too scared to make mistakes on both sides of the ball?
Yeah.
I mean, there were points in that game that you think Knowles should have went man coverage and attacked more, right?
It's just the problem with that is that
he gives up a big play.
I know how it goes. I mean, Ohio State has one of the most demanding beat reports in the college football. I mean, they got a lot of guys. You're answering a lot of questions there. If I think that it was never the passing game that killed them. I mean, Notre Dame, even when they're moving the ball between the 20s, I mean, they manned up when they needed the man up.
I just don't think Notre Dame's receivers, as long as the guys don't make a mistake peeking in the backfield, Notre Dame's receivers couldn't get off of Ohio State's corners. I think you would have been fine. I think
this is, you're in a point. It's a really tight game that you gotta, I mean, look at Iggy when he fell on that touchdown pass there. You gotta, in close games like that, things are gonna happen. That's not necessarily, anybody's fault. Just that the cornerback slips, and so I mean, you got to think about stuff like that. Like, I did like some of the stuff they did. I liked that when they did get pressure on Hartman, it seemed like that they did a lot of those, drop back. They would, replace, the pressure, linebackers.
And they would.
I did like some of that stuff, and they did with the tackles a couple times. That really confused Hartman. I like that. And a couple times they brought either Steele or Tommy by themselves with the line and stuff like that. And that's fine when you go fives and stuff like that. Sometimes where he got in trouble last year with some of the blitzes is because he would bring like weird, 6-7 man blitzes and when it was absolutely not needed to be ran. If you're going to blitz somebody, just bring one guy, and see what kind of pressure you get. Like, you don't need to bring the whole house right now. So maybe they could have been a little bit more aggressive, but I think he decided to play it. I like that he's not getting himself in his way. It definitely seems like, he did say a lot in the offseason and stuff like that. I had to learn that I'm not trying to win every call. And, I realize I have players now. And so I like the fact that there's not guys running free, even when they would get a lot of those completions and stuff like that, they were there to make.
They're not giving up explosive plays.
They're not giving up explosive plays. And I just hope that I would like to see them get a few more, third downs, stops. But a lot of that comes down to Notre Dame in the second half. They got a lot of those third down conversions on where they only needed 1 or 2 yards to run the ball and stuff like that. Like you gotta do a little bit better, I guess, stopping the run in some of those situations against some of the teams that want to run it on you. And I don't know, maybe it is that, you rotate Ransom and Proctor as your deep safety, bring in your 3 corners and play Sonny and Simon, as a rotation as a third linebacker and play a 4-3
or Mellon or Hicks, whatever.
Somebody bring in the third linebacker. And they did do that some of the game. They did have.
Yeah. And there was points that Simon just flat out replaced Steele.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe in that situation, you just got to bring in the third linebacker and, that's the shut down the run. And you tell it, you tell your secondary, I'm going 3 corners and 1 safety and you guys need to shut these guys down. And, because we need to stop the run right now.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think it's doable. I mean, they definitely have the talent on defense. I think their line still is a little undisciplined when it comes to, gap integrity, stopping the run. But I mean, it looked okay. I think they got worn down. I mean, that was most of it, is just they needed a breath. So hopefully they can figure out a way when the games, get a little bit harder again, that they can do that.
I mean, honestly, I think probably the biggest thing that killed them in the second half was Trey's touchdown. And it just sucks because it was great. They it was a nice explosive play. It's just, sometimes Ohio State's offense does that to them. And, obviously you don't want to, you're not complaining about it. I want the touchdowns, but when you have an offense that can score fast, and, against a team that can play ball control, sometimes those two things just don't mix well with each other.
Yeah. And I think that's going to be part of the challenge for Ohio State this year, or at least right now, is finding out a way with a different quarterback, with kind of just a different offense. How are we going to be efficient that we can keep the chains moving without necessarily having to be feast or famine?
Yeah. So definitely I want to work more on that. Some of that stuff. Let's third downs. They need to get better on both sides of the field. They look good against Notre Dame when third on the offensively, they made some big third down completions and
defensively,
stuff
not so much, but we've kind of already addressed,
so they are a good defense when they can get teams in third from 5 and plus. And it's just, you got to get to that point where, they're letting a little too much on first and second down, and, and then I think they're fine at that point. So,
I agree.
All right. So, I mean, just, keep on working on the stuff that we're working on and just keep getting better. I mean, you got a few weeks till Penn State. Wisconsin's tough. And then you got a few weeks, which are some decent, easily games that they should win, before Michigan. So, these are the couple, they got a couple tune-up games. I mean, even though Maryland's not necessarily, I mean, this stretch is hard. I mean, and Purdue's not an easily.
They suck, but Ross 8 is haunted. Like
it's just, it's a weird team. It's just another weird spot to play Purdue the week before Penn State. It's like, you
never know what kind of game Maryland's going to give you. They're good.
Yeah. So
they're better.
The October stretch is going to be a difficult one. And then if they can get through October, then they got some easier games. I mean, Michigan State is a dumpster
Rutgers.
fire, and Minnesota.
Rutgers, Minnesota.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they should be able to easily run through November up to Michigan. So, October is going to be the tough one. And then you got Michigan at the end of the year. So so there's some challenges still on the schedule, but it's good to get that. I think it's good. You saw in the national championships years, you need to have some adversity, and I'm glad that they got it and was able to get a win out of it
on the road. Final drive. I mean, you can't ask for much more against a top 10 team, a historic top 10 team. Like, you can't ask for, a much better finish.
Yeah. All right. Real quick. Just wanted to, just something that's kind of been eating at us. It's just the whole toughness thing. Is just that, first of all, and this comes from some people in our fan base, like, Ohio State's a tough team. I'm not gonna, anybody. And I know there's some criticisms that, Maradi is not, he's not modern enough he needs to adapt to
sports science isn't good. And that's why we get injured all the time.
Yeah. Maybe he needs to modernize a little bit on some of that stuff, but he runs a tough off season. So, like, to survive that off season, you have to be tough. And Like, so I know that they're a tough team. They are mentally very tough, and they proved it this week. And I think Coach Day, he gets it a little too much into his head that he needs, he equates toughness too much with like
being able to pick up 1 yard.
I'm gonna bring my 3 tight ends out there, and one of them might be an offensive lineman.
You're not Michigan. You're not Iowa. Stop doing that.
And like, and we've said this, Urban Meyer, and I'm not saying he has to run the spread, but Urban Meyer was a very good running team because they spread people out, and you don't have to run the quarterback. Line up Che, line up Chip, line up Mayan. It doesn't matter, but have 3 wide receivers out there and get them as far as possible. And
Urban Meyer made Mark Alford quit in the national title game. Like, he stole Oregon's soul in that game. Like, you don't have to just be like, there are different ways to bully people without, let's give you an opportunity to put 11 guys in the box. Like, you don't ever want to do that. That's not how you recruit. Like, spread people out, use your playmakers.
Yeah. And, and it's okay. If you want to run the ball to get your 1-2 yards, then use your playmakers as decoys. And and those slants, we've talked about it, those slants are there for Marv. If they're going to give him that, you tell Kyle, like, trust him. But like, if you see him off coverage, you call out of that play, like, and if you're wrong, we'll talk about it. But like, if you see a guy off that stuff, we're going to spread him out and we're going to run the ball. But if you see a guy that's given that much of a cushion to him, throw it to him.
Right.
Like, let him put him on a slant and, just get it out there. Like,
Yeah, I know. I mean, what's the point of Marv, catching 1 million balls a week on the Monarch machine if you can't just throw him something hard like that and make something easy out of it?
Yeah. And the whole Lou thing's been kind of beat to death now, so I'm not going to get into it. Lou should have never. I mean, I think a lot of people
they're missing a lot of it.
A lot of people outside the Ohio State program are missing it. It's not that Lou's 86 or, poor Lou or all that stuff. Coaching is a fraternity, and you don't go on, you don't go on national television and specifically call out somebody by name.
Call out a guy and his boys, man. Like, you don't do that.
There was a way Lou could have did that. If Lou Holtz, if he would have literally said that, if all he would have said was like, I don't know, we saw what Michigan did a couple seasons ago to them. I don't know if they've fixed some of that stuff yet. And I think Notre Dame has the offensive line and the running backs that can possibly do that again to him. And then if Ryan Day called him out at the end of that, I would have been like, okay, he didn't say anything out of line.
He's saying the team he coaches is going to win, and he's giving you a good reason why. But I mean, to go that extra mile and say Ryan Day and his guys lose to everybody now, gave the example of teams that, Notre Dame got lucky to beat Clemson one time and they got their asses kicked by them later in that season. I mean, these are all guys that have beaten Notre Dame recently badly. And to use them as examples and say Ryan Day gets out physicaled in every game, like it's going over the line to attack a guy and his players. But like we said, if it was just like, hey, Notre Dame's going to win because I think they have the better offensive line, they're going to be more physical, they're going to wear Ohio State down. There's nothing to that. That's a prediction.
No.
And that's fine. That's a prediction for the team that you coach. All good and well. When you take it that extra step, it was a little far, and maybe Ryan was a little too animated. Maybe it was a little too corny, whatever, definitely was scripted, but it was, it is what it is. Let it die now. It's fine.
And for Ryan Day, let it die too. Just the whole toughness thing, I think his original thing when he said we're going to let it rip, I think, and granted, again, we've said there was points in that game where they weren't conservative, and then they kind of on second downs they get a little too conservative and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Just play the game that the team you've recruited, play that game, and like just get it out of your head that I need to go pound for 1 yard to get it might come down to you where you need the 1 yard to win the football game like it did, and you got it. Great. So, use it, motivate with it. And, now, those third and fourth and shorts and stuff like that, get some of your receivers on the field. I'm not saying take all your tight ends off the field. I want Cade Stover on the field. The guy basically catches almost every ball to him. Yeah. And so, he needs,
only one tight end, man. I'm done with 12 personnel too. I know Ryan loves it. It's a good pro set.
12
but
personnel.
You've got all these receivers for a reason.
Yeah. And, every now and then 12 personnel is fine.
Every now and then.
And like, there's things you can do with 12 personnel, but it should not be your base offense. Like your base offense should be 11 personnel when you have a Stover, you one of your backs and 3 wide receivers out on the field. And
that's at your best, man.
Yeah. So, yep. That's where I would just want to go is just, okay, we won. Let's stop with the toughness thing. Like
or figure out a way to be tough within the system that you have.
Yeah, like toughness gets measured a lot of ways. It's tough that Kyle McCord had a ball up and go win a football game. That's toughness, and so that's good. He proved to you that he can do that. So let him be the man now. And
it's tough that Chip had to go get a yard with 3 guys crashing down on him. But we can figure out a different way to do this stuff.
Yeah. So, yep. That's where I want to go. And I think unless you have anything else, we'll call it a night.
No, great week. Great time to have an off week. Go hang out with your families, everyone. So now's the time. But no, I'm good. So thank you everyone for stopping out tonight to the Buckeye Bar. I'm John.
And I'm Mike.
OH. Thank you for tuning in to this week's Buckeye Bar Guys on Buckeye Bar Talk. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit that all notifications bell so you see when new content is added. And please remember to like and share so we can grow our audience. Don't be afraid to comment. We want to know what you're thinking and we want to know what content to add for you guys. OH.
IO.